Two neighbors divided by history, religion, and borders, but their wars, the Indo-Pakistan conflict, have shaped not just South Asia, but the entire world. In today's video, we break down how the Indo-Pak wars impacted the global stage, from Cold War power plays to nuclear threats, and how they continue to influence international politics today. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video if you want more deep dives into global history and geopolitics. The First Indo-Pak War broke out in 1947, right after British India's partition, a momentous event that reshaped the subcontinent. While the fighting was local, mainly over Kashmir, the world was watching closely, with international media covering every development. Why? Because this wasn't just two newborn countries fighting, it was the early Cold War, a period of intense geopolitical tension. The US and USSR were beginning to carve the world into spheres of influence, each trying to expand their reach. And a conflict on the Indian subcontinent, home to a fifth of humanity, could not be ignored by the global powers. The United Nations, just 2 years old, was called in to mediate, marking one of its first major international interventions. This set a global precedent. Kashmir became an international issue debated in the UN, not just a regional dispute, drawing attention from around the world. By the 1950s and 60s, Pakistan leaned toward the Western Bloc. It joined SEATO and CENTO, getting military and economic aid from the US. India, meanwhile, led the non-aligned movement. But after its war with China in 1962, it grew closer to the Soviet Union for military support. This set the stage for the 1965 Indo-Pak War. Globally, this wasn't just about Kashmir anymore. It was about Cold War rivalries playing out in Asia. Arms flowed into the region, raising tensions and militarization. Global impact? South Asia became another Cold War front, with the world's superpowers entangled in local disputes. The 1971 Indo-Pak War was a global game-changer, altering the geopolitical landscape significantly. After Pakistan's brutal crackdown in East Pakistan, millions of refugees flooded into India, triggering one of the largest humanitarian crises in modern history. The sheer scale of the displacement was unprecedented. Globally, things got tense. The US backed Pakistan, seeing it as a key partner in opening relations with China. This strategic alliance was crucial for the US during the Cold War. The Soviet Union backed India, signing a defense pact just before the war. This move solidified their support and changed the dynamics of the conflict. When India intervened militarily to support Bangladesh's independence, the US sent the 7th Fleet into the Bay of Bengal, escalating tensions further. The Soviets warned them off, showcasing their commitment to India and the seriousness of the situation. For the first time, the world saw nuclear-armed superpowers on opposite sides of an Asian war, highlighting the global stakes involved. The result? Bangladesh was born, and South Asia's conflicts became deeply embedded in global Cold War politics, forever altering the region's future. By the late 1990s, the stakes got even higher and the world was on edge. India tested nuclear weapons in 1998. Pakistan followed just days later. The world was shocked and deeply concerned. Global reactions were swift. Sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and fears of a nuclear arms race loomed large. South Asia had become the new nuclear flashpoint on the world map, drawing intense scrutiny. The Kargil conflict in 1999, just a year later, was especially alarming for the international community. Two nuclear-armed nations fighting a high-altitude war, while the world watched anxiously, fearing the worst. This reshaped global nuclear policy, forcing nations to rethink their strategies. International powers, and from the US to China to the EU, began focusing more intensely on South Asia's stability, realizing the Indo-Pak rivalry was no longer a local affair, but a global concern. Today, the Indo-Pak rivalry sits in a complex global network. China's rise has intensified the regional chessboard. China backs Pakistan economically and militarily, including projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. The US sees India as a key counterweight to China, boosting defense ties and joint military exercises. Meanwhile, global bodies, from the United Nations to the World Bank, worry about the wider fallout, terrorism and extremism spilling across borders, potential refugee crises if conflict escalates, global economic shocks if South Asia's stability crumbles. What started as a border conflict is now a matter of global security, economics and power politics. So why should you care? Because the Indo-Pak wars have reshaped global nuclear strategy, superpower alignments, international peace efforts. A flare-up between India and Pakistan today could drag in China, the US, Russia, and destabilize entire regions from the Middle East to Southeast Asia. It's not just a regional fight, it's a global concern. If you found this breakdown useful, help us reach more people by liking this video. It really helps the algorithm. Subscribing, so you don't miss our future deep dives. Sharing with anyone curious about global politics, and comment below. What part of the Indo-Pak conflict or South Asian geopolitics should we explore next? We read every comment. Thanks for watching, and remember, understanding history helps us shape a better future.